Amazing what a gavel can do. My name is Johnny Searles. I want to welcome everyone to the 171st installation of the Grand Master Nations in North Carolina. So, the normal thing, please turn your cell phones off. Okay? And we're getting ready to get started right now. So thank you on behalf of Don and Melanie. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate you being here.
Present sailor.
All rise.
Art sailor. Return sailor.
The Pledge of Allegiance. Post colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
How good and how pleasant it is for God's people to dwell together in unity. On December 9, 1787, Samuel Johnston took the oath of office and became the first Grand Master of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of ancient free and accepted Masons of North Carolina. For 236 years since, Freemasons in North Carolina have led our fraternity and our state through important eras of advancement and progress. And each year, the craft calls upon a dozen of its own ranks to lead the organization to continue the ancient and laudable work of Freemasonry. We gather this morning to continue this centuries-old tradition and install the officers who will lead our craft for the ensuing year. Centuries ago, our brothers came together and set aside that which divided them in favor of that which united them. They created a sanctuary for men to gather in harmony to learn from each other how we might be better men when we leave our sacred retreats to mix again with the world. From brother to brother, we learn to be better sons, better fathers, better husbands, and better friends. Such that we might also be better leaders in our communities and fulfill the Creator's great commandment to love and take care of our neighbors, all of our neighbors. Through our fraternalism, we build a sense of belonging among men that they might know that they are members of a band of brothers who, in good times and bad, has their back. It is through that camaraderie that we build the strength to do what the Creator has called upon us to do in this lifetime. And it is through these lives of service that we make practical the lessons that we learn in lodge and do good works in service to our communities through our time, our talents, and our treasures. A beautiful and profound system of morality, veiled in allegories and illustrated by symbols. Freemasonry is not simply another organization among a roster of other fine organizations. It is unique in the human experience. It sets aside that which divides us and builds upon that which unites us, such that we might indeed advance humanity. So as we enter our 237th year of Freemasonry in North Carolina, let us once again take up our working tools, head to the mount. We have ash ridge still to hew and a temple still to build. We are honored to be joined in the work today by our dear brother, Most Worshipful Daniel D.T. Thompson, Grand Master of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of North Carolina and recipient of the Joseph Montfort Award. Brother, thank you for your service to our craft in North Carolina. The continued unity of our Grand Lodges is a testament to the tenets of Freemasonry and the advancement of our craft. One of the great hallmarks of Freemasonry within our jurisdiction is the continuity and harmony of the leadership of our fraternity. Each year, the incoming Grand Master appoints a brother to serve as Junior Grand Steward, who then begins a nearly decade-long journey of apprenticeship as he travels to the East. It is our long-standing tradition that the appointing Grand Master preside over the installation of his Grand Line appointment and officers. It is my honor to welcome to the podium Most Worshipful Brother Arnold Gene Cobb, who served as Grand Master in 2017. Most Worshipful Brother Cobb, thank you for your years of service to our craft and our community. And as my last act as Grand Master, I call upon you to serve as installing Grand Officer for today's proceedings. I present to you the gavel and ask that you cover yourself. My work as Grand Master is complete. The East is yours.
Stephen for a great assist. From the majestic mountains of North Carolina to the threshold of creation on our coast. Today is a day we look forward to every year, because it is an opportunity for us in the family of Masonry to say thank you to those who have dedicated themselves to the service of this fraternity for this year, and a time for us to look forward to what will unfold in the future. I think every past Grand Master would agree with me when I say that once we leave the East, we have at least one more thing to do. And that is to see that the person we appointed to this great line has not just a successful year, but an even better year than we had. So before God and this family of Freemasonry, that is my pledge to you, Don. And I hope one day you'll be able to look back and point the assist. I love you. It is my honor to welcome to the altar Most Worshipful Brother Dan Rice, my Masonic father and Don's Masonic grandfather, who served as Grand Master in 2009 and today will serve as the installing Grand Marshal, along with Most Worshipful Jerry Tillett, past Grand Master 2002, Manio Lodge number 521, who will serve as the Assistant Grand Marshal. Worshipful Brother Secretary, call the roll of the officers of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina who have been elected or appointed for the ensuing symbolic year. Officers will rise as their names are called.
Donald D. Taylor, Grand Master. Robert W. Rideout, Deputy Grand Master. Steve M. Norris, Senior Grand Warden. Gilbert Bailey, Junior Grand Warden. Louis R. Ledford, Grand Treasurer. Johnson A. Underwood, Grand Secretary. Michael A. Lister, Senior Grand Deacon. Philip R. Johnson, Junior Grand Deacon. C. Alvin Billings, Junior Grand Marshal. Joseph K. Transu, Grand Steward. J. David Cashin, Grand Steward. Billy Ray Askey, Grand Chaplain. Dwight M. Cruz, Grand Lecturer. Brent E. Doherty, Grand Pilot. Matthew W. Cochran, Judge Advocate. Albert J. Carroll III, Grand Oracle. Brandon L. Kenny, Grand Historian.
Brethren, behold your grand officers elect. If there is no objection, we will proceed with the installation. Each of the grand officers to be installed will place his right hand over his heart and repeat after me in unison the official declaration. I promise upon the honor of a Master Mason
I promise upon the honor of a Master Mason
that I will, to the best of my ability,
that I will, to the best of my ability,
conform to and abide by
conform to and abide by
the ancient landmarks,
the ancient landmarks,
regulations, and usages
regulations, and usages
of Masonry,
of Masonry,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the Grand Lodge of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons of North Carolina,
of the Grand Lodge of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons of North Carolina,
and that I will
that I will
faithfully perform the duties
faithfully perform the duties
of the office
of the office
to which I have been selected.
to which I have been selected.
Grand officers elect, you may be seated. Installing grand marshals with the assistance of the installing grand deacons, you will present the Grand Master elect at the altar.
Most worshipful Grand Master, I have the honor to present to you for installation Right Worshipful Brother Donald Edward Taylor, who has been duly elected Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons of North Carolina.
My right worshipful brother, the exalted station to which the free choice of your brethren have called you involves great responsibilities. It elevates you to a position from which the power and prerogatives may depart with the expiration of your term of service, but the honor and dignity, except by your own act, never. As we are now upon the threshold of a great and important undertaking, Masonic teachings require that we should bow in solemn prayer. Worshipful Brother Johnny Brooks, Marshal Pro Tem, will escort the installing chaplain, Worshipful Brother Jack Smiley, to the south side of the altar for the purpose of prayer. Kneel for the purpose of prayer.
Eternal source of life and life, we thy creatures reverently thank you in adoration and praise. As when we first saw the light in our mystic order, we first employed thy guidance, protection, and aid. So now we seek thy divine blessing and direction. We humbly implore thy divine favor upon this occasion and upon the institution in whose service we are now engaged. Make it yet more helpful and beneficial to humanity, and inspire all who are connected with it with ardent love to thee, to each other, and to every member of the human family. Bless now Right Worshipful Brother Don Keller, who is about to assume a new and important relation to his brother. Give him wisdom, give him strength, give him love. Enable him so to bear rule that he may keep in view the best interests of the great brotherhood now about to be committed to his charge. Endue him with the competency to assume great and trying responsibilities, and enable him so to discharge them as to win all hearts. Grant thy blessings upon the brethren who are to be associated with him in office. May they feel a just accountability to thee and to the baton, and may they ever be faithful and zealous and assist to uphold the grand ideals of this institution. Supreme Architect of the universe, be our conductor and guide. Now bring us all at last to see the great light and the spiritual temple, that house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. Amen.
Most worshipful brother, you will place your right hand over your heart and your left hand on the book of sacred law, which I will note is the Holy Bible that was presented to William James Kaler, Jr. on the night that he was raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason by Wellsville Lodge 230 in Wellsville, New York, on December the 2nd, 1958, exactly 65 years ago today. Repeat after me. I, Donald Edward Kaler,
I, Donald Edward Kaler,
in the presence of Almighty God,
in the presence of Almighty God,
and before the most worshipful Grand Lodge
and before the most worshipful Grand Lodge
of ancient, free, and accepted Masons of North Carolina,
of ancient, free, and accepted Masons of North Carolina,
do promise and vow that,
do promise and vow that,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
perform the duties of Grand Master of Masons,
perform the duties of Grand Master of Masons,
and that I will conform to
and that I will conform to
and maintain
and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of North Carolina,
of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of North Carolina,
and the usages and customs
and the usages and customs
of ancient, free, and accepted Masons
of ancient, free, and accepted Masons
in this jurisdiction,
in this jurisdiction
and at all times
and at all times,
enforce a strict obedience thereto.
and enforce a strict obedience thereto,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Arise, my most worshipful brother, for it is by this title you will now be designated as long as you live. In conducting you into your office as a symbol of the commencement of your government over the craft, I am performing a most solemn duty. You have been selected by your brethren to occupy the highest and most exalted position in Freemasonry, an office which carries with it all the power and authority to rule and govern the craft without dictation and pressure from any source. By immemorial usage and the irrevocable landmarks of Masonry, you are invested as Grand Master of Masons with powers and prerogatives which are well nigh absolute. But this office also carries with it tremendous responsibilities. You will not only rule and govern, but you must also be a servant of all. Upon your shoulders will rest the grave responsibility of seeing that peace and harmony prevail at all times, that the ancient landmarks, customs, and usages of the craft are carefully preserved, that no innovations are allowed to interrupt the peace and good fellowship which must prevail in the fraternity if it is to continue to command the trust and respect of all men everywhere. It would not only be presumptuous, but also very unbecoming for me even to suggest or attempt to enumerate the various duties and responsibilities of your high office. Your election to this position by your brethren is positive evidence of their faith in your ability and fitness to carry out these responsibilities. It now but remains for you to be clothed with the external insignia of your rank and authority. With genuine pleasure, therefore, we invest you with this jewel and apron of your office, whose symbolic meaning will have new and striking significance to you. Most worshipful Brother Dan Rice, past Grand Master, will now invest our most worshipful Grand Master with the apron of his office. She's already done. Most worshipful Brother Jerry Tillett, past Grand Master, will invest our most worshipful Grand Master with the jewel and collar of his office. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct our most worshipful Grand Master to the east. It is fitting that you should be covered when presiding over the Grand Lodge. Most worshipful, I also present you with this gavel, handcrafted in 2011 by Brother Larry Monroe Isley and his friend Lance Belvin, prior to their deaths, as a potent emblem of Masonic power, which I am sure you will wield with prudence and discretion to the end that good order and harmony may be preserved.
Most worshipful Gene. It gives me great pleasure at this minute to ask our past Grand Master, Brian Webster, to come forward and make a special presentation for me. Brian, please.
So we've been blessed over the past year with the leadership and grace of Most Worshipful Brother Kevin Frazier, and we are all richer for that. Most Worshipful Brother Kevin, please come join me. One of the skills that I don't have is equanimity. My friend and mentor, Gene Jernigan, has that in spades, and I knew I could never have it, so I hired it for us. Because Most Worshipful Brother Kevin has equanimity in spades. And throughout his year, he taught us that our primary job, our sole responsibility, is to love each other and to love our neighbor. Brother Kevin, we love you. Thank you for loving us.
Brother Gene, you know I could do the rest of it, but I'd rather you do it now.
Most worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Deputy Grand Master-elect at the altar for installation.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, I now present Right Worshipful Brother Robert W. Rideout, who has been elected Deputy Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the Deputy Grand Master with the jewel of his office. Right Worshipful Brother Rideout, the station to which you have been called by the suffrage of your brethren is one of great dignity and much importance. In the absence of the Grand Master, you are to exercise the prerogatives in presiding over the crowd. In his presence, you are to assist him with your counsel and cooperation. With your powers and privileges are thus extensive, and while that may be the case, remember that they carry with them a heavy share of responsibility. The honor that has been conferred upon you and the trust that has been reposed in you demand a corresponding fidelity and attachment to your brethren. Let the Book of Constitutions be your constant study, that you may be better enabled to preserve inviolate the laws and ancient landmarks of our order, and that you may be ever ready to exercise the functions of that more exalted office to which you may be called. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct Right Worshipful Deputy Grand Master to his station. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Senior Grand Warden-elect at the altar for installation.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, I now present Right Worshipful Brother Stephen M. Norris, who has been elected Senior Grand Warden of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the Senior Grand Warden with the jewel of his office. Right Worshipful Brother Norris, you have been elected Senior Grand Warden. Your regular attendance at the communications of the Grand Lodge is essential. In the absence of the Grand Master and of the Deputy Grand Master, you are to govern the crowd. In their presence, you are to assist them in the government of it. We firmly rely on your knowledge of Masonry and your attachment to the institutions for the faithful discharge of the duties of this important trust. Look well to the west. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct the Senior Grand Warden to his station. Most Worshipful, at a later time, you will need to install the Junior Grand Warden. Yes, sir. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Grand Treasurer-elect at the altar for installation.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, I now present Most Worshipful Brother Lewis R. Ledford, who has been elected Grand Treasurer of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the Grand Treasurer with the jewel of his office. Most worshipful Brother Ledford, you have been elected Grand Treasurer of this Grand Lodge. It is your duty to receive all monies from the hands of the Grand Secretary. Make due entries of the same, pay them out by order of the Grand Master with the consent and approbation of the Grand Lodge. The office to which you have been elected embraces an important trust, and the choice of your brethren is evidence of the high opinion they entertain of your fidelity and discretion. We do not doubt that your regard for the fraternity will prompt your faithful discharge of your duties. And might I also add, we have full confidence you'll take care of the money. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct the Grand Treasurer to the station. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Grand Secretary-elect at the altar for installation.
Most worshipful Grand Master, I now present Right Worshipful Brother Jonathan A. Underwood, who has been elected Grand Secretary of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the Grand Secretary with the jewel of his office. Right Worshipful Brother Underwood, you have been elected Grand Secretary of this Grand Lodge. It is your duty to observe all the proceedings of the Grand Lodge, make a fair record of all things proper to be written. You are also the official agent of the Grand Lodge, and in that capacity will conduct correspondence between the fraternity and their Grand Master. In the discharge of these extensive duties, let your carriage and behavior be marked by that promptness and discretion that will at once reflect credit on yourself and honor to the fraternity. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct the Grand Secretary to his station. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Grand Deacons at the altar for installation.
Most worshipful Grand Master, I now present worshipful brothers Michael A. Register and Philip R. Johnson, who have been appointed Grand Deacons of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the senior and junior Grand Deacons with the jewel of their office. He might have been a Grand Master in 2002, but he can still jump. Did y'all hear that? Worshipful Brothers Register and Johnson, you have been appointed Grand Deacons of this Grand Lodge, and you have been invested with the jewel of your office. It is your province to attend Grand Master and Grand Wardens, and to act as their proxies in active duties of the Grand Lodge. Let vigilance and attention actuate your discharge of your office. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, Conduct the grand deacons to their respective places. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Grand Marshal at the altar for installation.
Most worshipful Grand Master, I now present worshipful brother C. Alvin Billings Jr., who's been appointed Grand Marshal of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the Grand Marshal with the jewel of his office. Worshipful Brother Billings, you have been appointed Grand Marshal of this Grand Lodge for the ensuing year. In addition to the jewel of your office, you are also presented this baton. as the insignia of your authority. It is your duty to proclaim the grand officers at their installation, to arrange all processions of the Grand Lodge, and to preserve the order and decorum of all ceremonies. Skill and precision are essential to the faithful discharge of these duties. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct the Grand Marshal to his place. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Grand Steward at the altar for installation.
Most worshipful Grand Master, I now present worshipful brothers Joseph K. Transood and J. David Cashier, who have been appointed Grand Stewards of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the Grand Stewards with the jewel of their respective office. Worshipful Brothers Transood and Cashier, you have been appointed Grand Stewards of this Grand Lodge. It is your duty to provide for the comfort of the brethren, to assist the Grand Deacons and other officers in performing their duties, to perform such other duties as it may be required by the ritual or usages and customs of the craft, by the Grand Master or by the Junior Grand Warden. Your regular and early attendance will afford the best proof of your zeal and attachment to the Grand Lodge. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct the Grand Stewards to their respective places. Most worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Grand Chaplain at the altar for installation.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, I now present Worshipful Brother Billy Ray Askew, who has been appointed Grand Chaplain of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the Grand Chaplain with the jewel of his office. My worshipful brother, that holy book, which is the chart and textbook of your sacred calling, is also the great light of Masonry, and forever sheds its benign rays upon every lawful assembly of ancient, free, and accepted Masons. Teach us from its life-giving precepts. Intercede for us with that divine majesty which is so freely revealed and unfolds to us and warms us by its lessons of infinite wisdom and truth. And you that have faithfully performed your sacred functions and fulfilled your important trust. Your good inclination to Masonry and to your Grand Lodge will induce you to discharge the duties of your office with fidelity, and by so doing, you will merit the esteem and approval of the brethren. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct the Grand Chaplain to his place. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Grand Lecturer at the altar for installation.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, I now present Worshipful Brother Dwight W. Cruz, who has been appointed Grand Lecturer of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the Grand Lecturer with the jewel of his office. Worshipful Brother Cruz, you have been appointed Grand Lecturer of the Grand Lodge for the ensuing year. It is your duty, under the direction of the Grand Master and the Board of Custodians, to supervise and assist the District Deputy Grand Lecturers in their visitation, inspection of ritualistic work, advise, instruction, and promotion of the lecture service among the subordinate lodges of this grand jurisdiction. You are to direct the exemplification of the authorized work when deemed necessary, promote the certification program and proficiency of the ritualistic work at all times, and make recommendations to the Board of Custodians and Grand Master on filling the positions of the District Deputy Grand Lecturers, when applicable. Proficiency in the ritual work is essential in the performance of your duties. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct the Grand Lecturer to his place. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Grand Tyler at the altar for installation.
Grand Master, I now present Worshipful Brother Brent D. Dowdy, who has been appointed Grand Tyler of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, invest the Grand Tyler with the jewel of his office. Worshipful Brother Dowdy, you have been appointed Grand Tyler of this Grand Lodge. The importance of the duties of your place cannot be overrated. Care and watchfulness are the indispensably requisite, and in all cases, unless thoroughly satisfied with the character and identity of those desiring admittance, let not your doubts prevail. Ours is a sanctuary entrusted to you faithfully and vigilantly to guard. You have always have at hand the means of being fully satisfied. Irreparable injury might result from a neglect or careless discharge of this duty. The Grand Marshal will now invest you with the implement of your office. As the sword is placed in the hand of the Grand Tyler to enable him effectually to guard against the approach of cowards and eavesdroppers, and suffer none to pass or repass but such as are duly qualified, so it should morally serve as a constant admonition to us to set a guard at the entrance of our thoughts, to place a watch over the door of our lips, to post a sentinel at the avenue of our actions, thereby excluding every unqualified and unworthy thought, word, and deed, and preserving consciences void of offense toward God and man. Your early and punctual attendance will afford the best proof of your zeal for the institution. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, conduct the Grand Tyler to his place. I now take this opportunity to present the following brothers who have been appointed to these offices, and they will stand and as they are recognized. Matthew W. Cochran, Judge Advocate. Albert J. Terrell III, Grand Orator. Brandon L. Penley, Grand Historian. Most Worshipful Grand Marshal, I now declare the Grand Officers of this Grand Lodge duly installed. You will proclaim this to the south, west, and east.
By order of the installing Grand Officer, I declare the Grand Officers of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina for the ensuing year duly installed. I make this proclamation to the south, to the west, and to the east.
Brethren, family of Masons, behold your most worshipful Grand Master. Worshipful Master, most worshipful Grand Master, behold your family. Behold your Grand Master.
Or shall I just talk loud enough so everybody can hear you? Thank you. What an awesome ceremony. I can't help but almost cry every time I hear Gene Cobb talk because he's so good. He's meant so much to me over the years, and I appreciate you doing this for me. I'm honored to have with me my good friend, Grandmaster Thompson. Pleasure. Thank you for your presence and your gift to Mason. I can't help but talk about these guys that stood in as my grand marshals. Dan Rice and I've been kind of hanging out for a few years with Gilbert Lodge 409. I think Dan's older now. But I beat him to the master station at Beulah Lodge. And about 6 years later, I had the honor to serve as his secretary, and he taught me a lot. But we've been together for a long time. I appreciate your work, Dan, and really brought home to me kind of what it's like to not have some parents that were able to be with us all the time. You've been a gift to me. I appreciate you. Work with the orphanage, with this Grand Lodge. So I met this cat, Jerry Tillett, when I got down here to the far east of North Carolina. And I watched him work a couple times, and like I said last night, Jerry, thank you for being here, holding together masonry here on the Outer Banks before I got here. We got a lot of work to do out here, and all the brothers of Manning and 521, thank you for making me feel at home here. So I'm going to do the hardest part first, and that's to talk about this memorial candle over here, and to talk to you about what's up here on the stage today. So on the night that I was raised to the degree of Master Mason, my grandmother gave me a watch. A pocket watch, and inside it says, to Don, something, Grandma Kelly. And so, somewhere along my path, you see I got it. Because somewhere along the way, somebody called my friend Steve Lynch and said, hey, do you know this guy named Don Kelly? And he said, yeah. He said, well, you call him and ask him if he got a watch from his grandmother when he was initiated or raised to the degree of Master Mason. And so Steve called me and said, did your grandmother give you a watch on the night that you were raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason? And I said, yes. He said, well, do you know where it is? And I said, no, I haven't seen it in a few years. And this was in like 2008, 2010, something. He said, well, I do. So the guy, Jacobs from Hillsborough Lodge, and I contacted me. He said, are you going to the lodge tonight? And I said, yes. And so I went to the lodge, and he gave me my watch that my grandmother gave me. That's the circle of nation. Okay? It comes back around. So I said to Jake, I said, well, what do I owe you, brother? And he said, nothing. He said, you're going to do my Masonic funeral. And so about 8 years later, I did the Mass Masonic funeral, and the circle was complete. So we have over here on this side of the lodge what's known as the Memorial Remembrance Candle. And this is for the folks that are here with us today that have meant a lot to us as we move through Masonry. And so, as Brother Gene said, this is my father's Bible. 65 years. We've lost a lot of people. We've lost a lot of the things that we've gotten over the years, and folks that meant a lot to us and got us to where we are today. A lot of these things up here, that Gene talked about the gift. Well, I'll talk to you about some of these gifts that I've been given and put together, what you have on your lapels, that's your pen that kind of several years ago, one of my clients brought this into me. This is a paperweight. Inside of it, it's got the square compasses along with behind it, I don't know if you can see them, are the starry deck heaven. And so that's what you have on your pen, is the starry deck heaven with the square compasses in the middle of it. And of course, you guys know what the checkerboard's all about. The hands are the gift. It's presented to us. When we get to the lodge, we don't realize what a gift we've got until we've been here a while. We hang out with these guys. So what a beautiful gift that's been given to us. And we're here to remember those for a moment that were not able to be with us today. So in the past, a couple of folks got me here, and Mason's known over time that what we do and say here is eternal. It doesn't go away. What you said, what you gave, what you did is eternal. And so I've got a few things that I was going to give away today, because as Grand Master of Masons of North Carolina, I have the privilege of giving away a few honors that are meant for people that got you here and meant a lot to you along the way. And, my father and I had a conversation over breakfast one morning. We were talking about the Rotary Club. I was a member of the Rotary Club for a long time, Paul Harris Fellow. And while we were talking about that, he said, well, have you ever looked into Masonry? That's why it says that you look into it, that pen says look into it. If you're afraid to talk to somebody about Masonry, ask them if they've looked into it. Since we can't ask them to join the lodge, we can ask them to look into it. I want to encourage you, Masons, to look into it a little further yourself with the work that we have here. If you have not learned the work, you ought to learn it by heart, because it's really better by heart. But I can't encourage you enough to say look into it. So I went to work and went on, didn't think about that conversation until Tuesday morning the following week. The secretary of the local lodge called me and said, I understand you want to petition the lodge. And I said, what's a petition? Okay. And so Jim Frost, if you would stand up here with me, I'm going to come talk about you. I told you guys last night I was going to talk about my brother Jim. Come up here and face the crowd. You got to face the music now. That what you said was eternal in so many ways. So my dad went back to work. He talked to somebody at work about Masonry a little bit, and apparently this guy called the Grand Secretary's office, who called the local secretary, who got me a petition to join the lodge. And when I called him and I said, well, Jim, they appointed me to the bottom of the Grand Line to move up through the years in the ranks to be Grand Master. And you know what he said to me? They couldn't find anybody else fool enough to do that. So Jim Frost came and spoke at my dad's funeral as we were riding up the road to Old Fort, North Carolina. He said, we were talking about Masonry, and he said that Masonry opened up the Bible for me. And it did. But on behalf of the Grand Lodge of Masons of North Carolina, what you did was priceless, and what you said doesn't go away. It lives forever, Jim. And so, on behalf of the Grand Lodge of Masons of North Carolina, I'd like to present to you the Montfort Medal. One of the highest honors that I could do. Brother John. Jim, we got to give you 5 or 10 minutes to talk since we got the floor. You guys can sit down, please. Thank you very much. Kathy, did you want to get a picture with your dad with this? And so Jim's wife was not able to be with us here today, and I was so looking forward to letting Betty pin this on him, but I'm going to let his daughter put this Montfort medal. So I'll have the grand historian describe to you who Joseph Montfort was in just a minute. I didn't tell him he was going to do that. So what we say and do is eternal. Jim, you want to say some more words to these people that they can't ever forget?
I just want to say, no one deserves this any less. I can't, I don't have the words. It's just, you're a great guy.
No, I love you, brother.
I
Appreciate
wish
you.
you very well.
Appreciate you being my brother. God bless. So as I'm going through life in the lodge over the years, I have a lot of mentors, a lot of coaches that you use to talk back and forth to each other. And as I'm learning the work of masonry and trying to go through the different degrees, there's some folks that make you stick around because they make it fun. And so as life goes on, you realize just how close a friend they become and what has happened in your life and what they've said to you and been around with you. They truly are your brothers. And so as I've been traveling through this little maze called masonry for 37 years of my life, this one cat over here, I kept looking at his head shining in the lights and the lodge. It's my friend Dwight Cruz. Come here, brother. My grand lecturer helped me be here for a long time because we had some fun. He made it fun. We laughed and had a good time. So I not only wanted to honor you by being appointed as my grand lecturer, but I also have a Montfort medal for you. Sheila Cruz, y'all go sit down except for Sheila so I can see her. Sheila, please come in. So Sheila's dad, Don, was a good coach and mentor to me over the years. Dwight and I kind of learned the lectures a little bit together, but without Sheila's dad, you know, we would have done it. So would you put this, try not to hurt him. See, I didn't tell any of these people anything about this. This is all new business. We didn't get to. That's close enough. Congratulations, my brother. No, I love you. Thank you. I guess you sit right here, brother. So when I got to the coast of North Carolina, this is kind of the past over here. When the present, my wife and I moved to Manning a few years ago. It was 6 or 7 years ago. And so as I talked to you last night, I talked to you about talking on the phone to this guy, Jerry. He said, my name's not Jerry, it's Neil. So Jerry O'Neill Combs, the Secretary and District Deputy Grand Master of Masons of North Carolina, got me hooked up. And over the next 6 years, I watched this guy the life that he brings to this area, the spark that he brings to the shrine, and the work that he's done in our lodge has pointed him out as a proper object of my favor and esteem. Brother Tibbet, would you escort Brother Jerry O'Neill Coons up here for me, please? Brandy, or if you're out here, please come forward. Where's Brandy? Brandy. So, this guy likes to argue. Brandy, please come up here. He likes to argue, but he's always right. Well, he's usually right. It's hard to watch things get done, and you don't ever take any accolades for what you do, brother. You get in there, you get the work done. I watched you fixing the lights in the new lodge. I thought, man, nobody knows what you all do. They really don't. And so on behalf of the Grand Lodge of Masons of North Carolina, I'd like to present you. So I'm one of those guys that does a little planning, if you notice. And I have the opportunity to present 3 of those medals, so I'm done with that. I don't have to worry about that the rest of the year, it's behind us. But I cannot say enough to our recipients. You mean a lot to this fraternity. You mean a lot to me. I thank you for your work. Your efforts. It really does show. And I know you don't want any accolades, but damn it. You guys made a difference in my life, and without you, I wouldn't be here today. And so, thank you. So I hope you guys have enjoyed all the gifts that you've been given as Masons. My wife's sitting over there saying, please don't do that, Don. So we have these hats with my kids. There's going to be light in masonry throughout the state. Please carry it forward. Continue to do so. These guys that I laugh about and have some good times with down here in Manteo, North Carolina, have put together a fabulous meal for us at the Shrine Club. Please come. Join us in celebrating this event. It is a reception after we get done here today. Of course, the hats will be on sale, along with a few other things. But I can't thank you enough for being here. I know a lot of you have traveled the whole state and traversed a lot of miles to get us here. And it's a big deal. And it's my honor to be the 171st Grand Master of Masons of North Carolina. I had the opportunity to meet this lovely lady. This is my wife, Melanie. And we will be at the Shrine Club. You guys will not see us until you get to the Shrine Club. So please come to the reception and join us in celebration. Thank you for being here.